Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about inversions. So there's a lot of different types of poses, and one of the types of poses are inversions, which are so beneficial and helpful. And we do spend some time learning how to do inversions, usually in our Iyengar yoga classes. So the first inversion you typically learn is setubandha Sarvangasana. And typically you learn that pose by taking the support of a brick. So the brick goes lengthwise with the spine underneath the center of the buttocks. And typically we start out with our knees bent. Now you can also adjust the height of the brick to your dimensions. And if you don't have a yoga brick at home, you can of course use a bolster or stack some blankets to look like a bolster. In fact, some books at home can be helpful. But like you did with the brick, you'll place that support underneath the buttocks. If this does not seem high enough, you can continue to build your support and go higher. Now you can stay with this bent knee position, or you can extend the legs here. Now I'm showing with the legs against the wall. If you can measure out your distance correctly with the support underneath the center of the buttocks and the feet right up against the wall, this is a great way to work the legs and to relax into the pose a little bit more. Stretching the legs can be more challenging the higher the pelvis is, but it helps to open the front body and the chest a little bit more. Arms can rest by the sides. So when you want to come out, you'll take the support out and come down and release. Now I want to show you, sometimes we can take this pose in a little more restful fashion. So if you have a bolster, or again, you can build up your support with some blankets, so either one is fine. I like to put an extra blanket on my head side. And then you can either build up some blankets, or I have another bolster, so that your legs are level with your trunk, which provides a little bit more relaxation of the body. So here, you sit at the very end of the bolster, you lie down, and then take your time. So make sure the shoulder blades start on the bolster, and you slide off so those shoulder blades really move away from the neck and the ears towards the chest, and you'll come up just to your shoulders touch down, and then again you'll stretch your legs out. So here I have some support for my feet, which makes the pose a lot more restful. To come out of this pose, I just simply keep sliding towards my head side, come down, turn to the side, and come out. So those are the many different variations of setubandha Sarvangasana. Setubandha means supported bridge, and is a good alternative for shoulder stand, and also just to be practiced by itself. Now the next inversion we typically learn is viparita korani, and that literally means an inverted posture, inverted form. The bolster, if you have a yoga bolster, is great to use. So you want some space between the bolster and the wall. So you don't have to have a brick, but it's helpful just to have it as a spacer. Otherwise, you'll just keep some space between your wall and your bolster. Then I also take a blanket because I want to be able to provide some warmth, some softness, but when I come out, I want to be able to slide out and not stick on the sticky mat. Now the height underneath, this is going to go underneath the, more into the kind of low back area. The height here depends on really the length of your torso. So I know I typically like one more blanket. Now, if you don't have a bolster, again, you can stack blankets here until you have the right height. Now, essentially, a lot of you probably know legs up the wall. So this is really similar to if you were to put your hip right up against the wall and turn so that your legs are up the wall. Now, of course, you come as close as you can. So this is an inverted posture, but we're going to do this inverted posture up onto the support, and you'll see how that is just a little bit different. So to get into this pose, you can do it a couple of ways, but the first way I recommend when you're first learning is to do just like you did in legs up the wall. Try to sit between the bolster and the wall here. Turn, and you'll notice my buttocks is going to sit into this section here. So you'll see my buttocks and my hips go down. So I kind of push myself in, so I sit down there. Now, if you have a rope wall, it's really helpful because you can have something there to help pull you to get you into the position. And I'm showing you because most of you don't have a rope wall at home, so I'm showing you how you can get yourself into the position and then roll over. So you can see my hips aren't over here. Again, they're descending. I kind of pick up, pull this bolster into my low back and allow my groins, my lower abdomen to go into that space between the wall and the bolster. Legs are up, and then you'll see this gives a nice opening in the chest. So it's a little bit different than legs up the wall. These postures are great to stay in, both setubandha, sarvangasana, and viparita korani, for at least 5 minutes. You can stay in it as long as 10, 15, 20 minutes. Now again, I just want to show you, if I weren't getting into that position, you'll see I've lost this descension of the groins and the abdomen, and I lose the openness of the chest. So again, you can just lift up, walk in, and you can see the difference of the shape again. Now again, to come out, you simply just push off your support. You can rest your legs in a simple cross-leg position, Konasana, for example, for a little while. And then you'll turn to the side and come up. And I just wanted to mention that sometimes this can be a little too much for those to put their legs straight up the wall, especially if you're a little bit stiffer. So we would do what we call bent knee viparita korani. So it's the same position, except for your legs are bent. So you can have a chair. You could also use a ottoman or your couch at home, whatever works. So I'd have my support in front of the chair. Now again, you could just lie flat and put your legs up the chair. But if you do have this extra support, again, it's a little bit differently in how it works on the body and mind. So I'm going to start with sitting. You'll notice if you sit on the bolster, on your support, your blankets, whatever height you're building up, I'm not going to sit in the middle. I'm going to come towards the front edge, like I'm going to sit on the floor. I'm not sitting, but I'm almost there, almost as if I were going to sit between the bolster and the wall, like I showed with the straight legs. So I'm going to come down here, and when I've hit my the waistline, I'm going to come over. My shoulders should touch, and then my legs come up. Now with this position, I really want to, I can just push myself so that my feet don't touch the wall. I really want to be able to feel no boundaries in this space. So again, this is bent knee viparita korani. Now to get out, just like the last pose, you'll slide towards your head side, roll to the side, and come up. So far we've gone through Setubandha Sarvangasana, the supported bridge with the block or the bolsters, viparita korani, legs up the wall, legs straight or bent knees. And then finally, the next inversion we learn is Salamba Sarvangasana. Salamba means supported. Sarvangasana means shoulder or all limbs. So it's typically called our shoulder stand pose. We first start out learning the pose usually at the wall. And I'm going to show 2 ways in which you can go into this pose at the wall. The first way is to bring your mat and fold it in quarters or 2 times. So you have a square, bring it up towards the wall. And now I'm using, I already have my blankets folded here. I'm using 4 blankets, yoga blankets. So I'm creating some height underneath my shoulders to keep some space and curvature in my neck. Now these blankets should be long enough for the elbow to the shoulder to fit, and also that both my shoulders are firmly on the support. We also use an extra support for the arms. Typically, the arms like to splay out, which causes the trunk to drop and our chest to drop, and we lose our stability in the pose. So we take a loop and a strap, and we have it about shoulder distance. You can measure, and remember it's helpful to practice the pose, or practice putting on the strap behind you, because essentially the strap will go behind you above the elbows. Now I am gonna, at this point, go upside down, so it's positive to tuck in your shirt so it doesn't fly into your face. And just like we did, now you'll notice there's a little bit of space at the wall here. And we're gonna come onto these blankets, much like we did with viparita korani. So you'll notice once I come on, my shoulders are still not quite completely on the blankets. I have my loop in one arm. Now I'm looking at you now, but once I get into the pose here and on my shoulders, I can't turn my head and look at you. So you should never turn your head and neck in this position once you have the weight on the shoulders and you're into the pose. So I'm going to bend my knees. I'm going to lift my buttocks up slightly, but not so much that I start to slide that way. So I'm going to stay in my blankets, and then I'm going to walk my shoulders in. And you'll notice that my shoulders are well on the blankets. In fact, from my shoulders to the blankets, there's a couple inches at least, but my head is off. From here, I keep lifting my buttocks up, and then here I'll put the strap on behind, again above my elbows. I'm really trying to get on the very tops of my shoulders here, pressing the arms down, pressing the feet into the wall. I lift the trunk. I take the buttocks in and lift it up and really stretch the front of the hips towards my knees. Then I place my hands onto my back, onto more of the back ribs. The whole hand should be on the back. And then from this position, we can try to stretch one leg up, then the other, or you can try the full pose. Now I have to keep pressing the arms down, stretching the legs up, and keeping the buttocks in, stretch the other leg, and then join the feet and legs. And then I'll bring the feet down and take the strap off before I come all the way out and slide down. So that's one way to work on Salamba Sarvangasana. Another way you can work on this pose is to turn yourself around. So this time, my head will be going towards the wall. You still want your stack of blankets here. And sometimes it can be useful to have bolster, bricks, books, some more blankets on the other side, and still your strap for around your arms. Now, I am going to be swinging my feet towards the wall, so I want to measure when I sit on more of like the middle of my blankets, can I stretch my legs straight? So I can't stretch my legs straight and get my feet to the wall, so I'll need to know, see that I need to back up. All right, that's about a good distance. From here, I'm going to turn around, and once again, come onto the blankets so that my shoulders are on, and head off. I'm actually going to be rolling over and bringing my feet to the wall. But before I do that, I'm going to lift up and put my strap on. And when I come down, I'm going to bring my hands underneath the buttocks. Now I'm not going to lift up, but rather I'm going to bring my knees in, and here my hands can help, or you can get a friend or your relative, whoever's with you, to help assist you to give you a little booster. You're going to roll your feet over. So your feet are going to come to the wall. Now right away, I suggest, especially if you're feeling a little breathless, to take your feet wider and walk the feet up. Now notice that when I walk the feet up, my hips are going to come more in line with my shoulders, and I'm lifting and lengthening that trunk up. Again, I'm going to bring the hands to my back, and this is actually going through a pose called Halasana, or the plow pose. So I'm going to press the back of the arms down, push the hands into the back to lift my trunk, and then I'll see again. Can I bring one leg up, and then the other, keeping the thighs and knees tight, and the buttocks lifting up and slightly forward. I'll try to keep my feet, my knees, my hips, and my shoulders all in one line and balance here. When it's time to come down, I bring the feet down. Notice that when I bring my legs up, I'm very sure about my legs. So my knees aren't bent, I'm not guessing, my legs are tight, and they help me to pull myself up. And it's especially important when you come down. Be sure about it. Keep your legs firm. And then again, before you come down, you could, if you want, actually, to work on Halasana a little bit, you can start to walk down the wall. Every time you walk down the wall, lift your thighs, lift your back up, and you might even see if you can start to work towards the floor into the full Halasana or plow pose. Again, when you're ready to come down, you'll take your strap off, and again, you'll slowly roll down just the way you came in. Now, I always suggest taking your time, and even when you're coming off the blankets, bring your head and shoulders in one line. Wait there for a moment because you are inverted, you're upside down, so give yourself a little time to recollect yourself. And then when you're ready, you're going to slide all the way off, roll to the side, and come up. So, finally, the last inversion is Shushasana. Now, typically we only teach Shushasana, Salamba Shushasana. So again, that's the supported headstand pose. Once you've mastered Salamba Sarvangasana, or the shoulder stand pose, it's important to know that Sarvangasana and viparita, korani, setubandha can be practiced every day and essentially by themselves. When you start to learn and practice Salamba Shushasana, you should always do that pose first, and then follow it up, whether it's right away or later in your practice, with either setubandha, viparita, korani, or Salamba Sarvangasana. So typically when we work on Shushasana, we start at the wall, and we work on Ardha Shushasana, or half Shushasana position. So that, I'm not going to go through it in detail here. I just want to at least introduce you and let you know how we learn the inversions, and once you learn them, how you practice them. So you all know the interlock of your fingers. We start with the knuckles at the wall and the elbows under the shoulders. From this position, like you did in Sarvangasana, where you were packing the shoulder stand, where you were pressing the back of the arm down, here you have to press the forearm down, the wrist, the pinky side of your hand down, in order to pull up through your arms and keep your shoulder blades active. Into the back and away from the neck and the ears. Keeping that, I place the crown of the head down, the back of the head into the cup of the hands, and then I come up. Now when I come up, I have to again press down, lift up through the upper arms, lift my shoulder blades, and I have to use my legs to pull up. So it's really important that you press down, pull up. You have to work on lifting the shoulder blades, lifting the spine, and you would work on this position until you could walk in where your hips are over your shoulders and your shoulders are away from the wall. So see here, my back would be rounding. I want to work on the lift and the length of the back before you bring one leg up and then the other. So if you are able to come up, you have the Ardha Shushasana alignment, then you can come up and just the knuckles and the heels would touch the wall. Once you start to master that, you can start to pull both heels away and learn the balance. When you want to come out, keep one leg at the wall, keep the descent slow, be in control, rest with your head down, and when you're ready, you'll come up. But these are the inversions, the main inversions, and how the order in which we learn them. So again, setubandha Sarvangasana, supported bridge, viparita korani, or legs up the wall, or a bent knee version. Salamba Sarvangasana, the supported shoulder stand. Halasana, the plow pose. And then finally, once you've mastered that, then we would introduce and learn Salamba Sirsasana. So I hope that was helpful, and you can practice inversions in your yoga asana practice at home. Thank you, and I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy.